Stanford makes big statement in win over Oregon. Paul, 2 weeks in a row, you've nailed the headline a day ahead.
I used to be a headline writer at a newspaper.
Oh, look at you, just bringing back your old skills.
Although I would tell you last night about 10 o'clock, I thought that headline was kaput.
Yeah, it didn't look good for a while. They had an opportunity to win the game, but they didn't. Stanford, good win out of you. Now, each week you take phone calls on the Finebaum radio program. Monday, they're just too passionate because of college football fan bases. So here on Call Paul on SportsCenter, we like to get you ready and imagine what some of these are going to sound like come next week. Let's start in Texas.
Texas is back, Paul. The Maryland loss to start the season doesn't even count. We won against USC, TCU. We're going to win the Big 12 and head to the playoff. Am I right? Hook 'em, y'all.
Hold your cowboy hat there, Dollar. I do not think Texas is back yet. Texas is good. The quarterback play is getting better. They've had really two nice wins in a row. First time we've seen Texas do that in a long time. But they are not going to compete for the Big 12 championship. They have West Virginia at home. They have Oklahoma in Dallas. I think they'll probably lose both.
Say this for the Texas Longhorns defense, though. It's really shored themselves up after losing to Maryland in week one. Again, it's that annual thing. How did Texas lose to Maryland? But they've at least looked good in a couple of wins for Tom Herman and the Longhorns. Things not good in Blacksburg.
Paul, what the hell is an Old Dominion? We are the Virginia Tech Hokies, a very strong bird. But still, they should relegate us out of the ACC to whatever conference Old Dominion is in. Hokie, bye!
Well, until last night, I thought Old Dominion was a bro country band.
They are.
They are, and a good one.
Yeah.
But they were a lousy football team until yesterday, and then they went up against Virginia Tech, and that Bud Foster defense. He's the best defensive coordinator in the country. Well, he was. That's one of the biggest upsets, Matt, in college football history. And the biggest loser wasn't so much Virginia Tech. It was the ACC. They got dinged bad.
By the way, impressed you Old Dominion was a legit country band. Been hanging around at SEC Nation too much. Which, by the way, the biggest surprise of that upset, perhaps, that's the most yards Bud Foster's ever given up. It wasn't to Florida State. It was to ODU. Big upset there. Let's go to the rivalry. Tennessee, Florida, second quarter. Florida up 16-3, first and 10. Felipe Franks rolls right, finds Freddie Swain. He takes it the rest of the way for the touchdown. Florida leads 23-3. Paul, this game was an absolute beatdown for Tennessee.
Tennessee's back. Not yet.
This rivalry used to mean something. It meant something to Florida last night.
Yeah, no, that was a really big win for Dan Mullen because he had to get that because he goes to Starkville next week, his old stomping grounds, and then has LSU. But this was an abject disaster for Tennessee. And Jeremy Pruitt, some of this is on him. He's the head coach. He inherited a mess.
Let's take a call on this one.
Paul, let's talk about the balls. I mean, Peyton Manning ain't walking through that door. T. Martin ain't never coming back. Do we have to just succumb to the fact that we are now Rocky Slop and not Rocky Top?
Listen, maybe the Tennessean in me is saying that I think Tennessee has a chance to come back to be a respectable program. They're a long way from being elite. And Jeremy Pruitt is off to a stumbling start, Matt. The West Virginia game went poorly. This game went poorly. Florida is not even really a good team. They're an average team. And there's no reason to get housed this badly at home. And a lot of sad Tennessee fans.
But the loss to Kentucky doesn't look as bad as it did a couple of weeks ago.
Kentucky is close to being a top 10 team right now. I know that sounds crazy.
Legit. They got a defensive front. They got Snell in the backfield. So your Pratt Free Radio Show this week, courtesy of SportsCenter.